Oklahoma's workers' compensation system is under a microscope at the state capitol. According to the Fallon for Business survey, workers' comp is the #1 detriment to business in Oklahoma. Legislative leaders say overhauling the system is high on their agenda this year, all of which could lead to major changes in the way Oklahoma deals with injured workers.
Lawmakers have filed more than 30 bills this session targeting workers' compensation. Representative Lewis Moore is one of those who believes the system has gone off the rails.
What's wrong with it is we're paying as much as 50% more in premiums than other states that are bordering us, meaning that manufacturing that want to be in Oklahoma are setting up shop in Fort Smith, in North Texas, in Wichita, and other places close, but not in Oklahoma.
This isn't the first time workers' comp has come under scrutiny. Attorney Bob Burke has represented injured workers in court for more than 3 decades.
In the 32 years that I've been affiliated with the workers' comp system in Oklahoma, there have always been people who wanted to reform it. In fact, we have reformed it 19 times in the last 33 years since the last major rewrite.
2 years ago, lawmakers passed legislation that resulted in an extensive overhaul of the system. Senate Bill 878 was hailed as a major advance that would greatly improve business conditions in the state. Former Senate Minority Leader Andrew Rice questioned whether that bill would be the last word on the subject.
Are we going to let this law sort of settle in and take effect for several years, or are we going to see more workers' comp reform from your caucus?
The state chamber has made workers' comp reform a keystone of its legislative agenda. State Chamber policy analyst Mike Sini says the changes made in 2011 didn't go far enough.
It didn't address the issue on some of our benefit costs, on some of our medical costs. It certainly didn't eliminate the litigious nature that we have in our system. It didn't do anything about the court system or the lawyers. And our awards for permanent partial disability are still outrageous.
Sini says permanent partial disability benefits averaged more than $33,000 last year and amounted to a paid vacation for injured employees.
When people can stay off that long, there is a tendency for them to not do their physical therapy, to not get well quicker, and consequently they end up gaming the system to get the end result, which is a lump sum award that's not taxable.
Critics of Oklahoma's system point to a report from the Oregon Department of Business and Consumer Services, which ranks premiums paid by employers in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. The report shows Oklahoma employers paid the 6th highest premiums in the nation. Meanwhile, Texas employers are ranked 38th and Arkansas employers 49th. Another report from the National Council on Compensation Insurance shows Oklahoma workers are more likely than those in neighboring states to miss work as a result of injuries suffered on the job. Those reports have prompted calls to replace the Oklahoma Workers' Compensation Court with an administrative system like the one in Arkansas. Sini believes an administrative system would streamline the process and be less costly than Oklahoma's judicially based system.
We need to get the people treated and back to work as quickly as possible. And going to an administrative system, resolving those disputes quicker and more easily, letting the worker keep more of the money instead of having to pay for a lawyer, just makes sense.
Burke says while Arkansas has fewer claims filed, the cost per claim are much higher.
The cost of administering a case before an administrative law judge in that administrative system in Arkansas is $1,500. The cost per case of adjudicating a claim in Oklahoma is $500. Ours is 1/3 the cost.
Another proposed change would allow certain companies to opt out of the state's workers' comp system and create their own plans. Sini says Texas has adopted an opt-out system, and he believes Texas workers have benefited.
If the goal is to get the employee medical care, pay them while they're off so that they can subsist, and get them back to work as quickly as possible, yes, I think that system is working better in Texas than it is here in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma afl-cio President Jimmy Curry is skeptical of the opt-out model. Curry believes it leaves workers at the mercy of companies looking to reduce their cost by any means possible.
What happens to this guy that blows his back out, that has those unscrupulous employer, if you don't give him his right to get in front of a judge, and if he's been really wronged by that employer, I just fundamentally that should be an American right.
An October 2011 article from the American Bar Association Journal claims injured workers in Texas are often denied treatment and pressured to return to work before their injuries have sufficiently healed. FERC maintains the Texas example illustrates the dangers of taking lawyers out of the system.
There's no question from injured workers in Texas that not allowing you to have a lawyer is a horrible thing. It's an all-American thing. If your employer denies your claim, you ought to be able, as a constitutional right, to hire a lawyer to go up against that big insurance company or that big employer.
While critics of Oklahoma's workers' comp system maintain it's too adversarial and drags cases out too long, others question whether lawyers are really the problem. Senate Minority Leader Sean Burridge lays much of the blame at the feet of the medical profession.
It's in the treatment that these individuals are getting, and where doctors and hospitals are being paid sometimes a multiple, 2 or 3 times as much as they would if it was you going in with a claim with Blue Cross Blue Shield. And every time we've tried to reform the system, the lobby for the medical providers has come in and kept it from being what I would consider true reform.
House Minority Leader Scott Inman questions the cost savings of an administrative system, since workers injured under current law would still have to have their cases decided by the Workers' Compensation Court. The state would temporarily have to offer 2 systems.
How can we as a state afford to set up an entirely new workers' compensation system when for at least a decade or more we're going to have to run a parallel judicial system? So we're going to be paying double the cost of workers' comp just out of the state tax dollars.
Curry says ultimately safety should be the real issue. He says employers have done a good job in recent years of improving safety conditions.
If you look at the actual numbers in the past 10, 12 years, the number of claims filed by injured workers has been cut in half. So our employees are doing a lot better job being safe on the job.
Statistics from the Workers' Compensation Court bear that out. The number of claims filed has dropped from almost 28,000 in 1994 to less than 14,000 in 2011. The percentage of workers filing claims has also fallen from 2.26 per 100 workers in 1994 to 0.93 in 2011. FERC favors only minor changes to the workers' comp laws this year. He still believes, if given time to work, the reforms passed in 2011 will save employers money.
We've not seen a huge decrease in premiums for workers' comp employers yet because there's always about a 3-year lag time from the effective date of new legislation until we see changes in the rates going out to employers.
Burke says once the 2011 changes take full effect, employers could save as much as $100 million each year.